Whatever. Hey, listen, you gotta tell me how this is killing me. Would you just have a look at that and just tell me if it's how, like, yeah, okay. All right, yeah, I don't. Got some food or some sustenance or something maybe to help me heal. Heal me up. I'm getting a little, whatever. We're here, we're back, welcome back to the Telethon. If you never left, then hey, thanks for hanging in there. And if you're just joining us, thanks for joining us. And I don't know, maybe this is a month later and like, what took you so long? We're talking about homelessness. This is Drugs, the Telethon. And donate now. You gotta always just donate. We gotta make this mark. And if we do, I get to meet my son and maybe explain myself a little bit. Homelessness is, when people are without homes. They live, they've got a bigger place than me, really. They live outside under the, where the ocean meets the sky. It's not it's a unfortunate situation. It's the government's fault. There should be homes for everyone. This is like some people have 2 homes, 3 homes. What's up with that? And other people have no homes. So that's not fair. Share your homes. Sell your homes. Well, the homeless couldn't buy it because they. Homelessness is a serious situation in this country, and needs to end. It's 2021. It's unbelievable. I was in a homeless shelter just last night myself, by happenstance. It worked out pretty good for me. I had some good food and met some good people. Things got a little twisted in the K-hole. Earl took my eye, and I'd like to talk to him about that. Apparently it's not looking too good, but how would I know? I can't see. I don't know what, I don't want to, I don't want to be in the red light district. My whole life. I want to. I know. Homelessness is, it's malarkey. It's hogwash. It's what's up. Like what? Like you're gonna let people. Open the gyms or something. Like what? Like what are they doing in Norway? Follow suit. Like take a page out of someone's book who's doing it right and do it like that, because you're doing it wrong. Like I don't know what to tell you. Shelter's a Band-Aid solution, just like everything else. It's not going to fix anything. I don't. I never had a problem with a guy down on his luck. A homeless guy asked me for some change the other day. I reached in my pocket, but all I had was a $20 bill, and I thought to myself, now, do I really want this $20 to go towards booze and drugs? No, I don't. So I gave it to him. We're only a couple paychecks away from being homeless ourselves. Ignorance breeds apathy. Have some empathy. Get your noggin out of your keister, and help doesn't hinder. So why not try it sometime? Donate now. These people are helping people. I'm sure some of the people they help are homeless. I'm not assuming the people they help are homeless, but I'm sure they come across homeless people in their various outreaches. Donate today, donate now, donate again. Call your Aunt Mary, the one with the fine china. She's got a couple bucks. She could donate. It's what all the hip people on the scene are doing. Everyone's, I don't know, in case you haven't heard, everyone's donating to the Telethon. You don't want to be left in the cold, like you leave these homeless individuals in the cold every year. Donate now, and we're going to learn a better understanding about homelessness now.
Alexander Park is on the land of the Huron-Wendat, the Haudenosaunee, the Anishinaabe, and the Mississaugas of the Credit, that they have a long, ongoing, and deep relationship with. Alexander Park is on land governed by the Two-Row Wampum Treaty, the first treaty between the Haudenosaunee and settlers centuries ago. The agreement was that neither would cross one another, nor would they interfere with the other's path. The treaty was based on 3 principles agreed upon by the Haudenosaunee and Dutch settlers: friendship, peace, and forever. Friendship, peace, forever. When I'm in the parks, I think about how I show up for people and how I show up in this space. I think about how when I'm in this park, I am a guest here in someone else's home. I have been shown so much generosity by the people staying here and how they have welcomed me in as a friend. I think about how people living in this park show up with peace, and I think about what a powerful and loving community has been built here that I've been invited into, and that today we have all been invited into. And I think about how the city responds with violence. Alexander Park is on Dish with One Spoon territory, a pre-colonial treaty between the Anishinaabe and the Haudenosaunee. I'm a settler on this land and so was later invited to join. The dish is the land, and there is one spoon with which all people share. The idea is that you take only what you need, leave some for everybody else, and you keep it clean. There are no knives at the table. So when I think about my treaty obligations as a settler in relationship to these 2 treaties, I think about sharing, respect, care, and non-interference for the land and the people on it. And I think about how the people living in this park have a right to live on the land how they want to live. I think about how the city says that the parks cannot be shared. This week, following the introduction of the Pathway Inside program, the City of Toronto issued trespassing notices to people living in encampments and cited that the 4 sites will be cleaned and restored back for general public use as one of the reasons for evicting people from parks. I don't think that the land is stewarded by parks ambassadors suits anybody, and I certainly don't think it upholds their treaty obligations. The city operates according to colonial rule, colonial law enforcement, and colonial violence, and it is under colonial law that the city claims ownership of the parks as city property and decides who can be here and how they can be here. It is the logic of settler colonialism that the city has an investment in green space, property values, and capitalist exploitation and appropriation of the land for profit. There is no sense of sharing and caring for the land in this, and there are only knives. The ways in which I see the settler colonial order operating as parks ambassadors and police move through this park to surveil, criminalize, and harass people living here and living in encampments across so-called Toronto, violently neglects any sense of sharing, respect, and care for the land and the people living on it. We don't see colonial law protecting anyone we care about. Rather, as we've seen this past week, we see how it operates to invisibilize people living outside, to displace and forcefully remove them from their communities, their friends and families, and their homes. Displacement and forceful removal that is the defining feature of settler colonialism, that is as old as Canada itself. As a settler, I have a responsibility to share, take only what I need, and keep it clean. I have a responsibility not to interfere with another's path, but to show up with peace and respect. I think we all do. I believe that we are all here today because of a deep love, a deep faith in community, and the belief that people can share the parks, that the city cannot make claims to this land because it has never been theirs. I'm so grateful to be here, and I want to thank you all and introduce Les Harper and Gabe Gaudette from the Bear Creek Singers to do the opening.
Thank you, sir. I think that was great. It's part of what I was actually going to say is that we get people to do the land acknowledgements, and a lot of people do it. But explaining what it actually is and following through, is such an important thing. Do you actually know the names of those people that are in those treaties? Do you know the dish for one spoon, what it is, and how it is? And I ask you to find out more about it. There's so much, it's a lifetime of learning and being in it. There's a reason why us as Indigenous people, we don't say the land acknowledgement, because we are from this land. This is our land, and for us to we know where we're from, but it's the settlers that don't know, the colonizers that don't know, and they need to know. You know, every day I talk to my daughter, and she asks me how my day was. You know, I could honestly say what I've done and what I didn't do. You know, look them in the eye. I wonder, these park ambassadors, the police, streets to homes, can you look your kid in the eye each night and say, this is what I've done. This is how we had this roof over our head. That I've given evictions notices to people who are trying to survive, trying to be who they need to be. You know, when they evict them, are they going to tell their kids, oh, what did you do today, mom or dad? Are they going to be able to do that? Look them in the eye and tell them what they did. You know, I know everybody here, you know, that is working hard for all this stuff, and the people living here, they can look anybody in the eye and say what they've done. You know, and that's such an important thing. Our loved ones, we take care of ourselves, we take care of our communities, and that's such an important thing. And I was saying that to remember that these things have been done many times over the years, and it's going to keep on being done unless we keep on doing the things that we need to do. And we are doing it. I'm so thankful for you to come out here and show the support that we have. It's great. We still need more people. We need communities. I went by the park of Queen's Park there the other day. There's an anti-mask rally. You know, people with privilege of wherever how they are. You know, it's crazy that people, they're going to move people out of these tents, out of these shelters. To where? To a place you could get COVID. You know, these people, the park ambassadors, the police, with the places they moved into, the housing, the house they bought or that they rent, would they move into that place that there was a risk of getting COVID? They wouldn't. If there's mold in that place, they wouldn't move in. And that's something to think about. That's what they're doing to people that are marginalized and looked in a way and belittled in a way and forcing violence by just bringing themselves in the way they do. And it's not right, and it has been right before, and Indigenous people here of Turtle Island, we know that because it's happened to us many times, and it's still happening to us across this country. So I'm very thankful to be able to speak these words and say these things, and you know, and be with you, and hear all the great people of this park and other parks speak and what they need to say, and hear their voices. And that's so great that you're here, because we need people to hear those voices and listen to them. And so we are able to bring those voices further out, so these things are not going to happen. And it is such an important thing. So I want to give thanks to the Creator for blessing us to come together here in a peaceful way, in a peaceful manner, to get that voice across, so there won't be that violence anymore, and there won't be that displacement anymore. I ask the Creator to bless these grounds, and we hear that drum, the heartbeat of the nation. When that drum beats, it pounds on this earth, and we walk upon it. And that's our heartbeat of our mother. And that those police and park ambassadors, they hear those things and leave, that they're not wanted here. They are not wanted. And we ask you, Creator, for your help. And we give thanks for all you've done. And I'd like to say in all the four directions, all the people from all across North America, thank you for your support and understanding. And please, we have this voices get out there. So I'd like to say ʻhōmləsnəs in the spirit of my father, the late Vern Harper. And now I'll ask Dave to come and sing an honor song for all the residents across Toronto here staying in the parks.
Hey, When Columbus sent his companion, Miguel de Torre, to explore the interior of the newly discovered continent, he returned with the report that he had seen natives who sat before burning pieces of wood upon which they placed dried leaves and then inhaled the smoke through tubes inserted in their nostrils. This was the first acquaintance of white men with tobacco. The fragrant leaves of the Indians quickly spread around the world. Today, the labor and skill of thousands of families goes into the growing and processing of tobacco. Tobacco plants grow on millions of acres of fertile soil, soil that might otherwise be used to produce food. From cured tobacco leaves, such generally known products as snuff, chewing tobacco, pipe tobacco, cigars, and cigarettes are made. More stores sell tobacco than bread, and money spent on tobacco could pay for half our schools. This then is an example of a product that represents one of America's largest farm crops and one of the most controversial consumer articles. What does this product contain, and how does it affect those who use it? What tobacco smoke contains is simple to determine. Here is a scientifically designed apparatus for collecting the content of the smoke under controlled conditions. Smoking is a process of dry distillation. By dry distillation, we mean the transformation of dry substances into vapor. All the products normally inhaled by a smoker are in these bottle traps filled with liquids. Supplementary traps called bubblers catch any substances not collected in the flasks. The liquid in 2 of the flasks absorbs the nicotine, and in the other 2 flasks, it collects the tarry substances out of the burning tobacco. From the first group of flasks, chemists isolate nicotine by distillation. The amount of nicotine obtained in this process is, of course, small and can only be measured by very delicate instruments. The ultraviolet spectrophotometer, for instance, is often used to measure minute amounts of nicotine. Different cigarettes, even of the same brand, sometimes vary in weight and quantity of nicotine. Variations from 1 to 3 milligrams per cigarette have been recorded. 1 milligram is about this much, and 3 times this amount could cause nicotine poisoning. The liquid in the second pair of flasks contains tars. It is first diluted with water, then chloroform is added. The chloroform dissolves the tars from the solution. Since chloroform and water do not mix, the chloroform mixture separates from the water as soon as the shaking stops. Finally, chloroform is evaporated out of the mixture by boiling, leaving the tars behind in the measuring cup. Cigarette tars consist of a variety of substances which can be further separated chemically. Here are some of the more important constituents of cigarette tars. Some may be considered irritants, others stimulants, and some as having no known effect upon the human organism. All smoke, including cigarette smoke, contains some carbon monoxide, a poisonous gas that combines readily with the hemoglobin of the red blood cells and prevents it from absorbing oxygen in the lungs and giving it off to the tissues. Very little is known about how much harm carbon monoxide from smoking does. All these tarry substances are the products of burning. They are not in the green tobacco leaves. But unlike tars, nicotine is found in the unburned tobacco. In smoking, some of the nicotine enters the body. When we light a cigarette, about 25% of the nicotine is destroyed chemically by fire. Behind the glowing tip, in the zone where tobacco is heated to a medium temperature, gases containing nicotine arise from the leaves. About 30% of these gases pass out into the atmosphere, while the remaining 45% continue to flow with the main air current towards the mouth. However, the major portion of the nicotine does not reach the mouth. It is deposited on the cold tobacco particles which it passes on the way. In consequence, only some 15% of total quantity of nicotine enters the mouth. Nicotine enters the body primarily through the air passages and lungs. However, some nicotine is dissolved in the saliva of the mouth and swallowed, thus reaching the stomach directly. From the stomach, the portal vein carries it to the liver, where some chemical changes occur which are not yet fully understood. But most of the nicotine enters the lungs with the inhaled air. From the lungs, it is carried to the left side of the heart, and from there it is rapidly distributed to all tissues of the body. This is why the smoker feels the effects of smoking almost as soon as he lights the tobacco. Carried by the blood, nicotine reaches the nerve cells, where it induces a complex set of reactions. The drug acts mainly on three parts of the nervous system: on the ganglia, or switchboards, of the autonomic nervous system, on the junction between nerves and the muscle, and on the brain itself. At these points, nicotine first stimulates the nerve cells, then gradually slows down functions and even paralyzes them. As a consequence, many types of reactions may go on at different rates and at different places in the body simultaneously, producing involved and often unpredictable effects which vary with each individual. Animal experiments enable us to observe the action of massive doses of nicotine. Note the blood vessels in this rabbit's ear. An injection of nicotine affects the rabbit's blood vessels dramatically. Watch how the small arteries in the rabbit's ear gradually disappear as the blood vessels tighten up under the stimulating action of nicotine. In this experimental setup, effects of nicotine from smoking can be measured with special instruments. Although the smoker absorbs relatively small amounts of nicotine, sensitive instruments can record its effect. For instance, these thermocouples record the influence of nicotine upon the body temperature. In this experiment, we see that the skin temperature gradually drops from 0.80 on the graph to about 65, or 15 points. The skin temperature drops because blood vessels constrict under the influence of nicotine, and less blood reaches the skin. Experiments with animals help dramatize the effect of nicotine on the nerve cells of the heart. By applying the drug directly to the exposed nerve of a rabbit's heart, we induce a change in rhythm. To understand better what is happening, let us look at a schematic drawing. In the experiment, nicotine was applied at the spot indicated by the arrow. And this is one nerve cell called a ganglion cell. Nicotine first stimulates the nerve cells, then it paralyzes them. See how the rabbit's heart first beats slower, then speeds up as the nicotine stimulates and subsequently paralyzes the nerve cells of the heart. In the observation chamber, the research scientists simultaneously the action of nicotine upon the human heart, breathing, skin temperature, and blood pressure. The multiple graph indicates that this man's heart has not been visibly affected by the nicotine. The graph in the middle reproduces the pattern of breathing. We've seen that nicotine causes the heart to beat more rapidly and often irregularly. We've also seen that nicotine causes blood vessels to contract. There is a connection between the two. When the heart beats faster, it pumps more blood through the blood vessels, which nicotine has made narrower. As a result, blood pressure increases. Smoking is dangerous for persons suffering from disorders of blood vessels of the extremities, such as in the case of Buerger's disease. To demonstrate the action of the autonomic ganglion cells of the intestines, we place a piece of rabbit intestine in a glass container. The rhythmic movement of the intestine continues even after dissociated from the animal. The scribe shows normal peristalsis. Now we inject nicotine into the solution. The reaction is violent. This is one reason why doctors often advise patients with peptic ulcers, chronic heartburn, or spastic intestines to abstain from smoking. Nicotine also acts upon the central nervous system. It stimulates it and produces a quickening of brain activity, which creates a feeling of nervousness and excitement. This rabbit reacts calmly to petting and tapping. But as soon as nicotine has acted upon it, the rabbit reacts to the same treatment with convulsions and tremor. Nicotine that enters the lungs of the smoker spreads rapidly through the body. In turn, it is excreted in urine, saliva, and sweat. After several days, all nicotine leaves the body, but the urge to smoke remains. This urge is the result of a complex set of causes, most of them psychological. Contrary to other habit-forming drugs, no bad after effects are known to result from giving up smoking. The question is then, why do people smoke?
It's sociable.
I never thought why I smoke.
I started smoking when I was quite young. My parents smoked, so do I.
Most people start smoking in imitation of a hero, or because they think that it makes them look important, grown up, or sophisticated, or they just stumble into the habit. But once formed, it is a hard habit to break. On the other hand, smoking is not an inborn, inherited, or natural urge. Beginners, almost without exception, find smoking irritating. Sometimes reactions are quite violent. And yet, smoking is a widespread social habit, so widespread that considerable money is spent on the study of its effects. What are the conclusions of research at this time? For one thing, there seems to be agreement that smoke causes irritation of air passages. Smoker's cough is a well-known sound. Of the many tar compounds in the tobacco smoke, we cannot tell with certainty which one or ones cause irritation. Our way of life makes it necessary for many people to live in air polluted with industrial smoke, dust, and car exhaust. Add to this the irritation of tobacco smoke, and draw your own conclusions. Experiments with mice are being conducted in several universities. Scientists suspect that certain constituents in the smoke, probably some of the tarry substances, may cause cancer in the respiratory tract, especially in the lungs of smokers. By smearing tars obtained from tobacco smoke and polluted city air on the skin of mice, scientists have already succeeded in inducing cancer in mice. Research in this area is relatively new. Observers also point at the high incidence of lip and tongue cancers found among pipe smokers. The increase in heart ailments in recent years alerted medical research to a closer observation of smoking habits of heart patients. There seems to be considerable agreement about the effect of smoking upon the human organism, but a great deal more work is needed to explain the potentially dangerous effects of smoke tars. Smoking is a widespread social habit, a habit very easily acquired, but very hard to break. Helped by advertising and glamorizing, it makes new converts easily, especially among the young. Armed with these facts, it must be the decision of each and every individual whether he or she will take the risks of smoking.
So I want to come at this with a housing first kind of outlook and such, because you know, there is a lot of studies, and you know, addiction is in a lot of people who are experiencing homelessness, but it's not, correlation isn't causation. There's a lot of factors that cause homelessness, but I do think that once you are experiencing homelessness, that's where that trauma can start, and that's where addiction can seep in, especially since it's a lot of the culture there, and you're trying to normalize such a intense, traumatizing experience that sometimes people do need a reprieve from it, right? So that's I think why we're really trying the Housing First initiative, is because with homelessness, every day's different, and it's that fast-paced life where you can't expect really anything. There's nothing solid in your life, and I think that's why it's so important to house people, even though again, as a housing case manager, I understand that we house people and they get evicted. We house people and they get evicted. And it is a cycle that can be really frustrating, not only for the community and landlords, but also for the people, you know, getting evicted as well. Because, you know, going back, we're trying to grow New Brain, and growing New Brain that, you know, kind of helps with it, not choosing addictive pathways. It means that we also need to put these people into safe places that they can, you know, not be re-traumatized, can have boundaries at who enters and who exits their space, also can start doing things like self-care, like we were talking about. So I definitely see that the Housing First initiative is actually kind of addiction-based initiative, where we are now realizing that housing is a human right, and that, you know, why it's a human right is that people cannot get better without a safe place for their own, and especially with shelters, they have no control over their life. They are told when to sleep, when to eat, like they don't have control on who they're sleeping beside. Well, like, unless there's been problems, then we try to accommodate, but for the most part, right, their lives are in their hands. And, you know, that like agency of self is a huge thing in combating addiction, because when you don't have control over your own life, you get into this feeling of being stuck, and that's where suicidal ideation comes from. That's where wanting to kind of dissociate from reality, right? So I'm definitely a pusher of Housing First initiative, just to give control back to people, because that's where healing starts, is when they're like, oh, you know, I have control over myself. I have control over what I want in my life. And it fosters self-worth, and that's the pinnacle of healing, right?
And now it's time for Talkin Shit with Harry the Hat. I'm Harry the Hat. Welcome to the first installment of Talkin Shit with your host, Harry the Hat. Today's topic is homelessness. What the fuck? We're at Queen and Bathurst in the fine city of Toronto, Ontario, aka Buddy fucking Corner. And there's a lot of homeless people around here. So let's go find some people that want to talk some shit. Okay, boys and girls, there's a guy I've seen around the neighborhood for a long time. Let's go see if he wants to talk some fucking shit. Excuse me? Hey! Yeah. Hey, come here. No, come here, man. I got a fucking show. I'm doing a show. I have my own TV show on the internet called Talkin Shit with Harry the Hat. Talkin Shit? Yes, today's topic is on homelessness. I was wondering if I could just have a moment of your time.
All right, yeah, it's for homeless, yeah.
Thank you, sir. What do you think about homelessness?
I think it's bullshit, man.
Why?
More people need to fucking help out. The government needs to fucking step in. It's all a bunch of fucking crock of shit, man.
Yeah, eh?
Yeah. you know, sometimes I'll fucking kick some change down to them once in a while if they look like they deserve it and shit.
If they look like they deserve it.
Yeah,
because I seen you around for a long time,
Me?
sir, and I ain't never seen you give nobody no change.
Yeah, I give lots of people fucking change. Man.
I'm
You
gonna
know
have to
Come
declare
on.
that you're talking shit.
What the fuck is wrong with you, man?
What's wrong with me?
Yeah,
I'm not
what
the
fuck
one
is
talking
this
shit.
What the fuck?
This is the Harry the Hat Show, and this guy is talking shit. So we're here with this crazy guy that goes around picking garbage up. What is that, like some kind of homeless guy job?
No, it's just because I care about the environment, man. I just like to see clean streets and so people can walk.
I knew he
and
was
not
gonna talk shit. Okay, boys and girls, we had to leave Queen and Bathurst because of the fucking popo we're talking shit. So now we're down here in the annex that is infamous for people talking shit. And I'm Harry the Hat, and I just found a busker. He looks like a homeless fuck. So let's go talk to him about homelessness. What the fuck? Excuse me, sir. Hey, sir, excuse me. Can I have a moment of your time, please?
What the fuck do you want, man?
Oh, my name is Harry the Hat, and I have an interweb show worldwide. It's called Talkin Shit with Harry the Hat. Today we're talking about homelessness. I would like to know what you think about homelessness.
I don't know, man. Give me a quarter. I'll tell you all about it.
That sounds fair.
Nice.
So, are you homeless?
Fuck yeah. What do you yeah.
Why are you homeless?
Because I don't have a house, man. Sleeping over there in that schoolyard after the kids go home.
You sleep in a schoolyard?
Yeah. Got me up at 9.
I noticed you got a bottle of liquor.
Oh, fuck. I didn't realize you could see that, man.
Yeah, so you just go and sit here and play your guitar and then just get drunk.
Just make money for food, man.
You're making money for food.
This is the annex. It's like, come have...
See, because you were talking shit.
Yo, I heard you say you were going to change that dial. We're talking shit. Back after these messages.
The Criminal Academy of Crime and Criminal Activity.
Like, I was selling some shit, but I wasn't re-upping enough. Like, money wasn't tight, but it wasn't right, you know what I'm saying? And then, like, I was at home cooking up some shit one day. I saw that commercial on TV and I was like, man, let me give them a call. And like now, like I'm 35 and I'm almost done. Like I'm almost graduated. It's fucking easy.
Get your criminal degree in the confidence arts, embezzlement and blackmail, drug sciences, fine art thievery, arms dealing, pimping and stabling, or gangsterism.
Money talks, man. They work on your schedule. You can still not take care of your kids. You can still not go to work. Still keep your little hustle on the side. There's someone waiting right now for you to call right now, so call right now. You're just gonna be sitting on the couch all day anyway on the phone. Why don't you make a phone call that's gonna change your life?
Our other programs include carjacking, pyramid schemes, pickpocketing, armed robbery, kidnapping and ransom etiquette, and mugging.
What are you waiting for, man? Time is money. Shit.
Call now, because if he can do it, anyone can.
Yo, man, you good? You smoke food?
I used to wake up feeling empty. I felt like life wasn't worth living anymore. Sometimes just the thought of going to work had me a little stressed out. I hated myself. I wanted to die. Nothing seemed to kill the pain. Then I found heroin.
Side effects may include drowsiness, drooling, a false sense of euphoria, track marks, stomach cramps, complete addiction, insufficient funds, constipation, and death.
Heroin, you're damn with your bad self.
Heroin, brought to you by the makers of opium.
Hey boys and girls, what animal has an asshole halfway up its back? Talkin Shit.
Oh yeah.
Okay boys and girls, now we're down here in Liberty Village, where all these young, upwardly mobile professionals like to fucking hang out. You know they're talking some shit up around here. Can I have a minute of your time?
Yeah.
We're discussing homelessness. I was wondering what you thought about homelessness.
I don't really think about them that much. I mean, I moved down to Liberty Village here, got a pretty decent job.
What do you think of them in general?
Pretty lazy, laid back. They don't fucking do anything about society.
Man, you're a terrible person. What the fuck? Talking shit. Excuse me, miss. My name is Harry the Hat. I have a TV show. It's called Talkin Shit with Harry the Hat. I was wondering if I could have a moment of your time, please.
Okay.
All right, thank you so much. Today the topic is homelessness.
Okay.
I was wondering what you thought about homelessness.
Oh, well, actually, I work with homeless youth. I'm a housing worker.
What a coincidence.
What do you do?
I have a TV show on the internet.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so would you say that these homeless people take advantage of the system?
Oh my God, are you kidding me? Some of them are total idiots.
Talking shit. We're underneath Spadina and Lakeshore Bridge, where a lot of fucking homeless people build their huts and live. We're gonna see if we can't find one that'll talk to us. It's also a pretty crazy place to find someone and kill, just for fun. Come on, boys and girls. Hello, sir. I'm Harry the Hat, and I'm doing a TV show for the internet on homelessness. I was wondering if I could just have a minute of your time to talk about it.
Talk about homelessness?
Yeah, it's just for the internet.
Well, I'm not sure I'm the best person to talk to since I'm not homeless, but come on in.
Thank you very kindly. Okay, homeless guy, so
Why do you call me a homeless guy? Where the fuck are you sitting?
I'm sorry, I don't mean to be rude.
You're not being rude, you're being stupid. Talking shit.
What's your name?
What are you calling me a homeless guy for?
Well, you are homeless.
How am I homeless? You're sitting in my house.
Okay, you got a good
So
point.
I ain't fucking homeless, am I? Homeless people, by definition, don't have homes, correct?
How long
Do I have one?
How long have you lived in this home under the bridge?
This particular one?
Yeah. Like
2
how long
years.
have you been doing this?
17 years. City keeps tearing me down. I keep rebuilding. Yeah. Well, actually, what I want to say, your God comes and tears me down.
My God?
Yeah, the God called the law.
It's okay. God.
The law comes, tears me.
Why don't you just get on assistance or welfare or something like that and just get a like a small
I don't need
apartment?
to. Why should I? What is that? The name of your God? Money?
Man,
What the
quit
fuck?
talking shit about my God and shit, man. Okay, why do you choose to live like this?
That would be my philosophical and theological beliefs. You have yours. Your cameraman has his. Everybody has theirs. And I have mine. Mine just don't conform to the accepted norm, if you like, right? I believe there's a real God, so I don't need to bow down before a false one.
Okay.
All right.
So what's better about this existence here in your hut that's better than, say, my existence?
Well, I'm not living off of other people's labor. I may be living off their waste.
Why wouldn't you just get on welfare and allow them to, pay for a better apartment? Why wouldn't you just get your $5.50
Why wouldn't I
a month?
conform to the dictates of a parasitic civilization bent on destroying itself by destroying
but just because
the
you're on
world in which
welfare
it lives?
doesn't mean that you're conforming or you're a parasite.
Sure it does. This isn't very funny.
Just because you're on welfare doesn't make you a parasite.
It doesn't necessarily make you a fucking parasite. It's your civilization and
Man,
conforming
you're talking
to the
shit.
No,
man.
you're
Yeah,
talking
shit. Man, I think it's time you leave.
This is my home, and I think it's time you leave.
Fine then. Time for me to go, boys and girls. Homelessness. What the fuck? Well, one thing for sure is these homeless people sure got a lot of conviction. It's almost like they're real people or something. Well, boys and girls, that's the Harry the Hat Show. join us next week when the topic is the Canadian music industry. What a fucking joke!
So one of my big roles as an advocate is to manage homelessness, and homelessness is something that can be preventable. You know, many people think that homelessness is inevitable, but it's not. It's something that can be completely preventable, and we know that homelessness leads to decreased safety, which leads to decreased mental health, which leads to substance use issues, right? Often people get into homelessness because of their substance use, but the thing that drives them to stay in their substance use is the homelessness piece. And if we do not address homelessness, we can't get people out of their substance use concerns if they're experiencing homelessness. So the way that I see this is as a classic analogy. So what some of my patients tell me, I've got patients who work on the streets, who either do street work or they're living on the streets, and they tell me that they can't get off the crystal meth because it's the only thing that keeps them alive. And when I ask them what that means, they tell me that, you know, they feel unsafe when they're on the streets. They're feeling unsafe when they're sleeping rough, and they need the crystal meth to keep them awake. They need the crystal meth to keep them safe at night, to prevent them from getting harmed, from getting assaulted, from getting their stuff stolen. And that's not a place that they need to be at, right? If we can get them a house, if we can get them a home where they can stay stable, they can feel safe, and be in an environment where they feel psychologically safe, there's a high likelihood and we see a large correlation of them decreasing their oral substance use. Someone who's using crystal meth doesn't need to use nearly the same amount of crystal meth that they're feeling safe, right? They'll decrease their overall substance use. And so one of the key pieces to dealing with substance use concerns is to provide people with housing, is to provide them with income support, is to get them to feel safe in an environment that's conducive to supporting them. And we don't do that enough. And I think we really need to refocus ourselves on that piece. And it's not something that people care about. People think that homelessness is someone else's problem. It's not their problem. It doesn't trickle to other aspects of society, but it does. It does trickle to all other aspects of society. You know, what does it speak to us as a society if we're not supporting those who are most vulnerable, right? You know, let's take another example with COVID right now. You know, in our shelter sites at this moment, there's people who are sleeping congregate living, or in congregate spaces, I should say. They can't wear a mask because they're sleeping. Like, can you imagine yourself wearing a mask while you're trying to sleep? You're sleeping next to another individual who you don't know as well, who's also sleeping on a mat. You have no protection, no form of safety from COVID. You're crammed into another space with other people, and so that just leads to horrible outcomes. That leads to further spread of COVID in the community as well, because once they leave the shelter space, they're more likely to have COVID. It's more likely to be transmissible in this population group as well. It's more likely to be transmissible to the general public. So people who often tell me that, you know, that homelessness does not affect them as an individual are dead wrong. It affects them in many ways than one, and it affects them in multiple different ways and aspects. And so if you really want to get on top of not only the COVID crisis, but the criminal justice system in general, we need to be able to support those who are experiencing homelessness. We need to get them houses. We need to get them support that they need. We need to get them back on their feet. That's the only way we can get them to be what many in society deem them as being non-contributing parts of society, which is completely the opposite case. We need to give them the capacity and the ability to be contributing parts of society. And we're not doing that. We're not being supportive enough for that population group.
Crimes to humanity. Oh, big spender.
Excuse me? What did you just say?
Crimes to humanity?
Okay, clearly you have some sort of mental health related problem that played a major role in you being here. So I'll give you the benefit of the doubt, but just appreciate what I gave you, okay?
No. Oh, I'm going for more of an abstract, streetwise professor rather than your run-of-the-mill crazy type.
What the? Did you just have a moment of clarity, or is this all just an act, or what?
Pencil shavings, radio wave.
Hold on a minute. Are you faking homelessness?
The actor does not merely fake or pretend. He believes.
Well, I believe that you're faking it. You read about this in the paper all the time. What's your deal, pal?
Well, after graduating from Juilliard, I just couldn't seem to find my motivation. I couldn't find a role that spoke to me. I did almost land an enriching role in a Sprite commercial, but opted to leave with my integrity intact after creative differences with the director.
So you're not homeless?
No, I live in my parents' townhouse in Rosedale, but I believe that I'm homeless, and I think that's what really counts. Don't you agree?
Why are you pretending to be homeless? Is this just some sort of sick scam?
Well, surely you'd agree that every actor deserves to make a fair and equitable wage? I mean, the conditions I work under are hardly up to union standards. I have peed in an alley.
Yeah, probably on a real homeless guy.
Sir, I will have you know that I am providing a service. For a nominal fee, people get to feel the warm glow of charity by providing for the fellow man down on his luck.
Yeah, but you're not down on your luck. You're a con artist. How much do you make doing this?
Well, on a good day, I can pull in a couple of $100, but there are no residuals, and I do have expenses.
A couple $100?
It doesn't matter. I don't do it for the money.
So you do it for free, then?
This is an important socio-economical experiment and the role of a lifetime.
So you do it for free, then?
Crimes to humanity.
I don't really see the difference either way. I don't care. You're struggling. You clearly have problems. Only have hundreds.
Ah, no problem. I could break that for you. What were you looking to donate anyway? 10, 20, or?
Oh, what the hell. Go ahead and make it 20. I don't really care. You're not going to spend this on drugs, are you?
Well, I'm currently financing an intensive workshop on subtext in scene work.
Oh, well, great then.
Subtext is a very important component of the craft, my friend.
Oh, well, great then.
Well, the class does go for drinks after session for further discussion.
Oh, well, no harm there. Best of luck.
Theater is still show business, so we usually do a lot of cocaine.
Excuse me?
Crimes to humanity.
Here's the thing. A lot of drug addicts aren't homeless. A lot of drug addicts are. A lot of homeless people aren't drug addicts. But yeah, they don't make as many waves and they don't take up as much space. But I think people would be surprised and amazed to see how many families and couples and single mothers and newly arrived refugee immigrants that are living in shelters because they're homeless. And shelters provide a safe space for some people to get off the ground. But I also think that people put more, you know, it's easier to care about a single mom and her child, and it's easier to care about a family who's fleeing Syria. It's easy to care about those different groups of people. And for some reason, it's not easy to care about drug addicts. So I think what people are going to see more and more and more, and what I noticed more and more, was like our elderly population. They're getting rent-evicted. They're getting kicked out of their homes. They've got nowhere to go. They've been working, you know, in their lovely country, Canada, for 30 years. They don't have the right setup to get all the things done the way a housing worker would do it. So it's just easy. You're on OW, you get your pay direct, whatever. But if you're older and you're on pensions and you're on OAS and CPP and your landlord kicks you out and your family's not around or passed away, there's like nothing. There is no stops before from that to shelter, long-term care. I think our elderly population is at most at danger now for living in substandard housing and for becoming homeless in the next 20 years. And no one's going to want to go into long-term care after COVID, let's be real. But who can afford that? And if you smoke or you like to have a scotch at night, long-term care doesn't want you. Again, we have a system set up that should be a safety net for people, but there's all these conditions there that are more morality or health-based that can actually keep that door closed for you. And you could have paid taxes in this country for 50 years. Nobody gives a shit. So there's all sorts of types of homeless people. I knew a ton of kids that were on the street because they just had nowhere to go. Parents kicked them out because they were queer. Parents kicked them out because they came home late, just whatever. There's all sorts of reasons why kids become homeless. And it's not usually because they're an addict. If that happens, that usually comes later, because trauma does some pretty wild things to people, and people do stuff to cope, and usually drugs to cope. It's pretty normal. We all do it. We all have our glass of wine at the end of the day.
Oh, fuck, man. Oh, Jesus. Again and again. Just be cool, man. Yes?
What you boys up to, huh? Doing a little drinking? How many people we got in here? Look like a fucking clown car from back there. You guys smoking a little Chiba, a little Acapulco Gold?
No.
Maybe getting into your daddy's old medicine cabinet? You boys, I reckon, like to wear women's clothes then, huh?
No.
Maybe you're thinking to yourself sitting there in the back seat too? Maybe what I'd look like in women's clothes?
Not at all, sir.
Well, maybe you guys would like to play Mr. Cop yourselves. Maybe come on out here and handcuff me to the front of the car and give me a little fist job. Little Puerto Rican swan dive in the Mexican bubble, huh? Maybe you want to go do some brown cowboy out in the backyard? Maybe you just want to go down the beaches with me then, huh?
No thank you, sir.
Maybe get a little pink ferry for the afternoon. So, boy, what you even been up to tonight, huh? Smell like old hard-ass cabbage in here. You boys maybe want to come in the house there. We got a little bit of mayonnaise and a rake. We can throw some bologna up on your ass and see how much stick. Maybe get us a couple amputees. Go on the roof there with some vanilla ice cream and maybe get us a couple acrobatic orphans. Got a couple Portuguese midgets in there, man. Maybe a little bit of Mary Jane. Smoke a little bit of Julio. Maybe get ourselves a little speedball. Maybe boys like to get some uppers and downers. We'll smack it up. You guys like rails? Do a little Tony Chacho. That's how you boys like to do, a little Chacho. You guys sure like to party, huh? Probably gonna take your old golden albatross up in the mountains for a goat race, aren't you?
Look, we haven't done nothing wrong. Can we please just go? We're late. We gotta go.
Man, come on.
Like, we done nothing. We gotta go.
All right.
Okay.
You boys have a good night, huh?
All right. See you later, Dad.
Don't get home too late, eh?
I'm Dick Johnson, and this is my TV show. Today we have Hobo and Dito. All right, I guess I'm gonna welcome in New Year here with everybody. A couple special guests. Oh, hey, ladies and gentlemen, a good friend of ours, Chippy the Crackwheel.
Merry Christmas.
Well, that Christmas was last one, Chippy, but all right.
Don't worry about Here you go.
Wow, just thank you. Here, holy.
I'll take it back for you.
Okay, I guess I'll just save that for later. Okay, well, that was pretty fucked up. Chippy, without any interruptions, I guess. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen, from Hogtown. It is the one and only HOBO Bandito. What are you guys all about?
Look, kid, if I told you once, I told you 1,000 times. Hobo Banditos are 100% independent underground rap crew from Toronto, Ontario, Canada, known only as Dynamo, Harry the Hat, and Twitchy Titch Tantrum. These pseudonyms represent the nameless, these masked identities represent the faceless, and our voices, those are the people.
Well, dip me in shit and roll me in breadcrumbs aren't you fucking important?
Personally, I've been suffering from plaque buildup along my gum line, causing gingivitis, and it's giving me some halitosis.
And a lot of other problems involving my teeth.
Fan-fucking-tastic.
Oh my god. This is fucking retarded. I can't even believe I'm doing this. Like, what time is it? It's like fucking 6 o'clock. I got way better things I could be doing right now. I'm hungry. This fucking place is filthy down here. Look at this fucking guy talking about his teeth. Jesus Christ.
This fucking guy, man, he's always hungry. Don't you work at a fucking restaurant?
Hey, Hal. How's it going, man?
Good, man.
Oh, just doing my bit here, you know?
Yeah, I see you. I can see you. I'm sitting there. I just cut my fucking finger with a straight razor. I like to cut this fucking guy's nipples right off. Look at his little puppet nipples. Look at this fucking guy.
Good.
You punch him right in his fucking neck and face area. And what's this guy talking about? He's got 6 teeth in his fucking head. He wants to talk about him on TV? What are we fucking doing here?
You should have stayed in school, man.
Yeah. You got a real fucking knack for the obvious. What exactly are we fucking going to do? He can't hear you. You know that, right? Just fucking ignore him. Grab your gun. Get the gun. I'm out of here. I can't take it. I'm not fucking kidding. What is this place?
But anyway, like I always said, after years of neglect, one must practice immaculate oral hygiene.
What's next then?
Well, Hobo's getting ready to drop our first studio album, Familia Paratota La Vida, coming soon, 2011. Dynamo's doing his mixtape. Yo, Dynamo, what's your mixtape called? Dynamo. It's called Rise, Rebels in Society, Elevating. And I'm doing a solo album called Cheap Drugs and Tap Water. And then, of course, Harry the Hat solo joint.
Dollar motherfucking store, yeah!
Yeah. HBC. Yo, smoke crack, drop out of school, kill your parents. Not necessarily in that order. War.
All right, then. Stick around for more Hobo Banditos.
Hobo TV will be right back.
Don't touch that dime, bitch. Yeah, that was horrible. The best part of you ran down your fucking mother's leg. You should go home and kill yourself. Seriously, you fucking blow-dried cocksucker. Fucking cock-mouth degenerate. Get the fuck off my stage.
You call yourself a DJ? I seen better scratches on the side of my El Camino.
Yo, I actually didn't think it was that bad.
Coming soon to Hobo TV. Who wants to be a Hobo DJ?
Well, there's a gas station up the road. Let's get out and push. Have you ever been taking a shit and stand up and pretend like you have a long brown tail for a couple of seconds? No. Me neither.
Push! This cocksucker says it's gonna be like a fucking hour or something before the van's fixed. We should,
Yeah, I seen an info center back there. Maybe we can go there and like figure something out to do for a little while the car's getting fixed.
Word. Oh, what?
Hey, tell us where to go, you stupid bitch.
Yes, visit our museum. I'm sure you'll find it very interesting.
Anybody home?
Holy shit. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Vladimir Rothschild III. I invite you to take our tour. Please sign the contract. Your marks will suffice. It is here you will enter our breeding program where your babies will be sacrificed to invoke the evil which will inherit the earth.
What? You again?
Grab the baby.
What the fuck? This shit is crazy, yo. Let's get the fuck out of here.
Holy fucking what the fucking holy fucking what the fuck is that?
Yo, here's your fucking ugly baby now. Just leave us alone.
Man, I hope that baby's alright.
Man, fuck that baby.
Yeah, I think those Masons already did.
Why is that funny?
Surely you must be kidding. Not kidding. Don't call me Shirley.
Now performing Poor Me off of the album Familia Para Toda La Vida Hobo Banditos.
Motherfucking HBC,
Pour me.
Pour me another fucking drink. This is HBC. Fucking gravy. Check it. Woke up this morning on a cold park bench. Sirens were warning, so I hopped the fence. Skies were rolling, didn't have 2 cents. Beers are pouring, you let it commence. Call me a hobo everywhere that I go. Swear I'm a bad man, but they don't know. Straight from the gutter, the lowest the low. Baby, it's butter, the way that I flow. Finest the wine to the lowest the shine. I find it is mine, that's the way of the grind. Hobo bandito, I'm out of my mind. Maybe I'm evil, but I can be kind. Depends how I feel at that certain time. Wheeling I deal in all aspects of crime. Like Dennis Hopper way back in his prime. Spare me some copper and I'll spit you around. I get around, I've been around a long time. When I'm around, you buy around, the next round is mine. Fill your cup, bottoms up, whiskey and rye. Raise your glass, mix the bastards, let's waste some time.
Them hobo banditos back at it again. Over the standing and under the ground. Attention's demanding, you lost what we found. These grapplers will fucking straight up take you down. Pretension surrounding, hiding through the crowd. Pressure's mounting, it's out of the bounds. They want us too bad, it's nomadic. The status shot at. They stabbed us, not once have they had us. No, how is your mother? Who is your dad? Steal from your brother what little he has. Drowning your sorrow in ill-fated plan. Hungover tomorrow, then start again. Self-inflicted, your sickness, your bliss is a share. Addiction is wicked when by your own hand. Fuck that of living, it's your time to go. No drunkards in heaven, but plenty below. I get around, I've been around a long time. I'm around, you buy around, the next round is fine. Fill your cup, bottoms up, whiskey and rye. Raise your glasses, make some passes, let's waste some time.
Yeah, Western rock, make your brains look spaghetti. Armed and ready, double fisted with some rocks and Henny. Try hard as hell to rid the blues like Gargamel. Gargle hell water harder than the devil's sauna. I wake up with a headache and $1.50. Brush my teeth with the flask and a cup of whiskey. Drinking from the well of sin, I lean too far, I'm falling in. Binging with a bitter sting. Bloody sink, the angels sing. Yeah, I hear them calling cries from the tears that's falling all in. Roll the dice, eyes on the snakes that's watching. And if I die asleep, pour it in the fucking coffin. Trouble with the bubble and the trouble coming often. I stumble getting lost and crumble in a maze of stone. All the glass shows a reflection of my face alone. I'm free to roam in a designated danger zone. This bottle's my wife and this bar is my home.
I get around, I've been around a long time. When I'm around, you buy around, the next round is mine. Fill your cup and bottoms up with whiskey and rye. Raise your glasses, make some passes, let's waste some time.
Yo,
you're drinking from that bottle.
Yo, sometime that bottle drinking from me.
Yeah.
This is real pain for my sham friend. Champagne for my real friend.
Yeah.
Yo, you see that fucking guy push me?
That's HBC for life, motherfucker.
Fuck yeah.
For life.
Fuck
what
yeah.
up, Hogtown? Ha!
Yeah, I don't mind the sun sometimes, the images is show. I can taste you on my lips and smell you in my clothes.
A hobo bandito, 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 a hobo bandito. What you damn what you damn I'm hobo bandito, I'm out of my mind. And I'll spit you.
You know, I work in the shelter system. I've worked in the shelter system for 23 years. I worked in the shelters when the dark days, when there was many people, they were stacked, a lot of predatory behavior. And shelters are not a very safe place to be, especially in the 80s and 90s. One of the things that I've always found important for myself is to make sure that the place I am working is as safe as it can be. I take a lot of care to do that because people cannot function if they don't feel safe. One thing about the shelter system and coupled with harm reduction is that it does provide that safety. When you're sleeping outside, when you're sleeping outdoors, one of the biggest fears is who's going to come upon me when I'm sleeping. There has been many cases of people being beaten or people being killed. So the shelter system provides a few things, in my opinion. It provides a safe place, safe out of the elements, safe out of other people's predatory behavior to an extent. Usually in a good shelter, workers that work in that shelter will do room checks. They will check often. If you are using, or if you have a health issue, or if something is going on, maybe you have a heart attack, somebody is going to find you and bring help to you. So that's a very important part. The shelter I work in, the men I work with have, I would say 90% of them have a history of childhood trauma, broken men that have pretty much given up on themselves and on life. And these men find a place that they can belong, right? There are many men around them with similar issues. Whether they get along or not is an interesting concept, but they do have a place where they feel they can come home. They know the staff. They feel relatively safe. And when they do get into a crisis, staff are there to help them. You know, some of the men I work with have forgotten functions like going to the bathroom. They just either through incontinence issues or they've lost a feeling and they just let it go. So we have a dynamite team that comes in and helps them. Before that team got there, we were helping them. So when that happens, I don't know if anybody can relate to having an accident where you've had to let go. It's not a good feeling. You're walking around in wet pants. It's hard to go through your life that way that day. So having the availability of a shower, having the availability of somebody there that's not judging you, to help you, to give you some clean clothing, a smile, somebody that knows your name. I know as cheesy and corny as that sounds, but it's true. Being known to others, right? Because many of our men have not only isolated from society, but they're isolating from themselves. So those are the benefits of a shelter. I have worked on many people that have had an overdose in a shelter. We brought them back. I've also worked on a few where we weren't in time. The thing is, though, is that somebody was there, even when we weren't able to bring them back. They didn't die alone. They didn't die in an alley. They didn't die in a park. They had some people around them. So there are many pluses to a shelter. Some of the minuses, yeah, there are predators in a shelter. There are some staff that shouldn't be working there. I've seen my fair share of horrible staff. And all we can do is wait until they make a big mistake before we can actually launch an investigation and terminate them. But there are some people that mistreat clients. And so you have non-safety, you have staff like that, you have some people that judge. I found that in shelter work, when I first started there, clients judged each other the harshest. Today, I see a lot of tolerance. I see a lot of tolerance for mental health, for substance use by other clients, which is pretty phenomenal. It's been only 20 years, but that has impressed me. So if I were to be homeless again, would I choose to live on the street or would I choose a shelter? I think I would choose a shelter, but that is my opinion. I'm just happy to be able to try to provide the safest place I can for somebody that really needs shelter.
Homelessness in the city of Toronto is a serious growing problem. At any given moment, there are over 10,000 people in Toronto that spend nights on the streets. Shelters in the downtown core normally have an occupancy rate of about 98%, and it has only worsened due to COVID-19 and the implementation of social distancing measures. At this point, people are forced to sleep in crowds and risk getting COVID, or they spend the night outside in the bitter cold. While this has been an ongoing issue, financial hardships from COVID-19 have led to an alarming rise of homelessness in Toronto. According to the Canadian Medical Association Journal, individuals recently homeless were over 20 times more likely to be hospitalized for COVID-19, over 10 times more likely to receive intensive care, and they were over 5 times more likely to die within 21 days of a positive test, presenting more of a demand for change in the city. Why is this happening? What led to this situation? What can we as individuals and the city as a whole do to provide help? This short documentary will try and answer these questions and provide more insight into this ongoing crisis. To begin, let's define homelessness. Homelessness describes the situation of an individual, family, or community without stable, safe, permanent, appropriate housing, or the immediate prospect, means, and ability of acquiring it. It is the result of systemic or societal barriers, a lack of affordable and appropriate housing, the individual or household's financial, mental, cognitive, behavioral, or physical challenges, and/or racism and discrimination. Most people don't choose to be homeless, and the experience is generally negative, unpleasant, unhealthy, unsafe, stressful, and distressing. Anyone of any background, age, or gender can become homeless, and you never know how someone became homeless. Homelessness will not discriminate. In many situations, people prematurely judge those living on the streets. A lack of empathy is shown towards people who are homeless, saying that they're just lazy. They need to get a job. They don't deserve our help. These are all really common misconceptions out of the mouths of people who have never really taken the time to understand just how complex homelessness actually is. There are many external factors that can impact a person's living situation, such as loss of employment, family breakup, family violence, mental illness, poor physical health, substance use, and physical, sexual, or emotional abuse, just to name a few. This, combined with Toronto's absurdly steep rent prices, works to create an environment where it is really easy to become homeless and really hard to escape it. While shelters offer temporary respite, they do not provide an ample living space. 93% of homeless people surveyed by the City of Toronto want a permanent home, with 74% saying they can get out of homelessness if they just had help paying rent. Quickly doing the math, if someone were to work a minimum wage job at 40 hours a week, they would make about $2,240 per month. In 2019, the average price for a one-bedroom apartment downtown was $2,300. While this cost varies per year, it's very hard to find a suitable apartment for under $1,600 in Toronto. Add on other costs such as utilities, food, transportation to and from work, and other living expenses, this is seriously unaffordable for many people. Even if they were to manage these costs while working 40 hours a week, this would leave no room for sick days, vacation, or entertainment experiences that many of us get to enjoy. Additionally, the Toronto job market is highly competitive, and many places do not offer this many hours in a minimum wage position. Plus, if you have a partner or a family, you'll need an even bigger place to live, costing you even more money. Getting a job is hard enough. Now imagine trying to get hired and work a job when you're living on the streets. With no address or reliable shelter, it makes every single step 10 times more difficult. Currently, there are about 333,000 people on the subsidized housing waiting list. With new condos sitting empty due to both absurd pricing and lack of movement due to COVID, it makes you wonder why Toronto isn't rushing to create more affordable housing. Toronto's efforts to help people find housing can be seen as flawed in many ways. From the lack of affordable housing as previously mentioned, to the lack of support available to those who are homeless, and their current response to homelessness during COVID-19, it goes to show that the city seriously needs to reevaluate and act on the current situation. During the pandemic, there has been a huge struggle from local grassroots organizations to prevent illness and deaths within the homeless population. The city has not supported their pleas at all. With shelters being reduced to half capacity, people have had to find new ways to stay warm this winter. From pitching tents to using tiny houses or homemade shelters built by concerned citizens, the city has met these unique spaces with nothing but hostility. From forcing people out of camps to taking away and destroying these small sheds or houses, they are actively preventing people from protecting themselves from both COVID and the harsh elements. The City of Toronto claims that when they carry out forced evictions, they are bringing people to a safer space. But the safe space they're talking about contains clear partitions, no hot water, and limitations on what people can bring in. Many people feel safer on the streets than in these poorly planned pop-up shelters, and if the city really cared, they would work with people who are homeless to design these spaces. While these personal shelters such as tents and sheds are only helpful until more housing is available, this short-term solution saves lives. While city and provincial governments should be doing more to address homelessness, a large part of the problem is people who protest against subsidized housing and shelters. Many people are okay with the idea of Toronto building more spaces for homeless people, yet refuse to have these spaces built in their neighborhoods. NIMBYism, or not in my backyard, is a commonly used term that describes privileged people that reject these types of social services. They fear that by creating shelters or subsidized housing near where they live, crime rates will go up, the neighborhood will become unsightly, and their property values will go down. This simply is not the case. It's proven that when people are given a private, personal space to live, crime rates actually go down. Instead of having to protect and defend themselves on the streets, they have their individual place that is safe, secure, and comfortable. Allowing humans to be treated as, well, humans, gives them confidence and control they could never afford to have on the streets. This is what helps neighborhoods and cities thrive, when all citizens are treated equally. There are a few immediate demands created by grassroots organizations that need to be met by the city to help alleviate homelessness. First of all, an immediate moratorium on forced evictions of encampment residents and temporary shelters from public spaces. Secondly, open at least 2,000 new shelter hotel rooms within the next 4 months. This is the only way people will have a safe alternative to living outside in the encampments, given that the shelters are currently full. For these sites to be successful and truly safe for people, all sites must have overdose prevention services and support on site that is provided by experienced harm reduction staff. Also, half the sites must be located in the downtown core to ensure people aren't disconnected from critical services and their communities. And lastly, the city should provide services to people in encampments by providing funding to community agencies to distribute survival supplies and fire safety equipment to encamped individuals. They must also ensure people have access to indoor facilities 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, including access to winterized bathrooms and showers for encampments adjacent to city sites. Aside from these immediate demands, the city needs to create a better plan for more affordable, sustainable housing. This ongoing crisis has been going on for too long. We need to do better for our communities and fight for everyone, especially those who are most underrepresented when it comes to voting, surveying, and prioritizing. To conclude, the only way Toronto can do better is by working together. Actively educating people about homelessness creates more awareness and less stigma, generating more power. Working as one, we can do a lot to change the city for the better. Send this information to everyone you know. Research ways you can help in your specific neighborhood, and check out the description for links to local organizations and information that may be helpful to you. Thank you for your time and attention, and I hope you can use this information to reflect on your own thoughts about homelessness and what you can do to help.
My name is Derek, and I'm Derek. I've been on the streets for as long as I can remember, and yeah, I squeegeed. I do a fair amount of narcotics, and I'm a poly substance user. I guess I don't really have one main addiction, but I just bounce back and forth whatever I feel like for the day. I mean, like, I've had a few places here and there. Streets to Homes were great when they first started. They got me a few places that I unfortunately wasn't ready to be housed. And I lost those places. But the housing situation's gone to total shit, especially the low-income housing. Like, it's... I currently live in Fred Victor at Queen and Jarvis, and market rent for my unit is $800. And I mean, like, if you've ever gone by that place, nobody would pay $800 to live there. Nobody. It's disgusting. It's full of cockroaches. A lot of the floors are infested with bed bugs. Maybe not the entire floors, but units. They don't do any proper cleaning. A lot of people who live there have a lot of mental health issues, me myself included. And they're just they're doing the wrong supports. Like, what they consider supportive housing is kind of a joke. But it's dirty, it's filthy, it's disgusting. I don't live there. I live there, but I don't. It's like a storage unit with a bed in it.
I've walked along this lonely road. 1,000 stories have been told. I wish I was the one who broke my mold. And like a blind man trying to describe the sun, I can't explain what you have done. You opened up a side I tried to hide. I gotta get my things together, feels like I'm on the run. Feel I lost all my friends and feel like I'm not the only one who's lost a lot of things today. I'm kicking stones for company, and my distractions got a hold on me. Kicking stones for company. So uphill and against the wind, we all have sorrow, all have sin. There was some nights we should have died, and some nights we should have cried, but we kept on going on, a lack of direction and control. And I can't believe that we're still here, kicking stones for company. And my distraction's got a hold on me. I'm kicking stones for company, for company. And I've got nothing left to lose but this lonely road I choose. I've known this all along. I've got nothing left to lose but this lonely road I choose. I've known this all along. I'm kicking stones for company, and my distraction's got a hold on me. I'm kicking stones for company, for company.
Anin, Minigajagat, Brianna Olsen, Piton, Quentin, Nishnakaz, Minwa, Nishnabamoy, Noswin, Wasaze, Nimda, Nangus, Quain, Nishnakaz, Nishnabi, Quain, Dao, Adakusin, Nodam, Mokum, Kong Sing, Unceded First Nation, Dunjaba, Nimigwachundam, Nangwa, Minwa, Nanook, Gordon, and Sunny. Thank you, everyone, for inviting us here to speak today. I will share as much as I can from my heart, and I've also invited Sunny as they have lots of experience and have a position that's really important to hear right now. So, as I see the situation unfolding before us, there's often something that my uncle, who's an elder, would say to me, that we always have to look back and step back and look through our own lens as Indigenous people on this land. He would say through Indian eyes, because he said we have a perspective that's much broader and much more rooted than the perspective that many people come with. We have a perspective that goes back for my people 14,000 years on this land. A perspective of a woman that I spoke with in this very park, who said, my ancestors lived with only two elements, fire and water, on this land for tens of thousands of years, and we can't live on this land with that anymore in this space. What has been imported here was the Industrial Revolution that existed in Europe, and that industrialization doesn't just exist with metal and buildings and glass and all these things. That industrialization is with human bodies. That industrialization has created industries, proliferated industries that industrialize the human beings in our communities, that create entire industries where people are chewed up and spit out. They're nothing but a commodity. Within the 17 and 1800s, within 1 year, 15,000 institutions popped up. Institutions that stole people from their communities for being not normal, for suffering from disabilities, for suffering with mental health struggles, for struggling with being gay and queer. These institutions make up the very society that we see today. Even our nonprofit organizations, helping agencies, are part of these industrial projects, because they take money from the city, and then the city can check a little box and say, oh, well, we've dealt with the crisis. We've dealt with the homeless crisis. Even in our own community, even in our Native community, we see this. Where's the outrage? Where is people's? Where are all of these institutions speaking up and saying this is a crisis, that people are dying? When I started helping in the encampments last year, when Nanook was so incredible and stood up and said, I'm going to do something, because guess what? Everybody quit. Everything shut down when the pandemic started. There was no frontline work going on. So Nanook went out on the streets and started building relationships and meeting people where they were at. And I came out to the encampment, and guess who I met? I met a friend of mine from 25 years ago, who I was on the street with, who's still living in a tent. When we were children, we were kids, we were living on the street, and they were still living in tents. They were still struggling. These are the same institutions that create the reserve systems in this country. They're the same systems that create an inflated government bureaucracy on the backs of Indigenous people in this country, in impossible living conditions, in reserves. It's the same mechanisms that create a water crisis in these communities. And guess where people go? They leave the reserve, and guess where they end up? Here. They end up in the camps, they end up in the cities, they end up on the street. 60% of Indigenous people in this city live in poverty.
Hey! Fuck the government! No more!
With that, I'll invite my friend Sunny here to share a few words. And Sunny has such a beautiful voice. Sunny is a singer, somebody I look up to really quite a bit and really respect. So we'll give you the mic there.
I know we go talking, but I live at the camp over there in Island First Nations. On Friday, we got the paper saying we had to leave. And then I just went over, I stood there in front of the city guy, his name is Mitch. He was a frontline guy that had 3 cops in the background. I just looked at the cop, and I looked at him, and I said, fuck you. So then I said, and I'm listening to the city guy talking, and he's trying to be all nice and everything, nothing but lies. But the thing is, though, I said that to him. I said to him, I asked him one question, and I said to him, would you sleep in the cold? And he said no. After that, he was quiet, because he had nothing to say about that. Because he never experienced that before. So, I don't know, it's just, I'm angry over that. I want to fight him, but... but yeah, I know, it's, I don't know. I want to say I experienced, I suffered through diabetes, got leg wounds and health care and stuff. But I got sugar and health and helping me. So I'm okay with that. But the thing is, I don't like the way that what they're doing here. And
that's okay, Nelson, not now.
Yeah, as I said, I'm not a good speaker.
Okay, we have to back
Be glad, everyone. Thank you so much for listening, and keep being here. Keep witnessing. It's important.
Hey folks, I know you think we got a lot of great deals down here, and you probably think, how do they afford to give all this stuff away?
We're crazy.
What are they giving away next? What did they give away in the past? Well, let me tell you, if you've been shopping at Lakeport, Marino, Gambino, and Ford,
you should be.
You should be. Highway 21 down in Tonawanda, here's a list of some of the stuff we've given away with some of our cars in past years. Hockey skates, bucket of ice, bananas, turquoise, crackers, pockets, game changers, cans, plastic, submarines, your best friend's pictures, a new couch, brand new car, a brand new credit card, my son, telephones, phone lines, string, paper, scissors, opera tickets, hockey tickets, tickets to the thing, tickets.